I had one moment where exactly right in the middle of the ocean, not the middle of the race, but the middle of the ocean part of the race, I took about 10 or 15 minutes to myself, and I switched off the instruments, I switched off all the electronics on the boat, and I said, okay, forget about this race. There is only one time in your life that you're going to be able to say, I've just got myself to the middle of the Atlantic and I'm going free surfing.
Sails are on, the sail numbers are just being applied, and we're going to pop off in a second, hoist the sails and go and relax.
I've been waiting for this 3.5 years. And it finally is here. I'm just leaving Queen Anne's Battery, the port of departure, and I'm heading to the start line, trying not to hit anything.
I think it's like let's get it started or something like that would be a good one right now, or I just want to get going, you know. It's been a long week and everyone's kind of really itching to get going. And
so we have a line that is from a red buoy that is just ahead of us to the big military ship called the Galatea, where Prince Philip will fire the start gun. The wind has actually shifted far more than we had predicted. So actually now the wind comes from this direction and I have to head that way, which means that it is in fact a beat to get out of the harbour. Vado sulla linea. Ciao.
This is the oldest solo ocean race in the world. It's been held since 1960. This was the 13th edition.
You know, the OSTAR is the highlight of a single-handed sailor's career, really. So these things come around, and everything else has to be discarded in a very selfish and focused way to the race.
The course itself, we start right in Plymouth Sound. We sail out to the Eddystone Lighthouse about 10 miles offshore, and then off we go towards America, and it's pretty much 3,500 miles straight. You just beat upwind against the winds and currents, and traditionally it's first man to the other side wins.
This is the Great Circle from the Isles of Scilly to the tip of the Grand Banks here. This is Newfoundland and this is the Grand Banks.
But the navigation for this course is extremely complex because you have the North Atlantic Passage to make.
So family, work, money, career, friends, the whole bit has to be put to one side. You can't really do this race and half-heartedly. It's a full commitment. It's every 4 years, and that doesn't mean you can do it every 4 years, because your lifestyle and all things have to come together to make it happen. And when you get the chance, you really have to take it.
The race was envisaged by a man called Colonel Blondie Hasler, and the first race was run in 1960, and it was won by Sir Francis Chichester. 5 people took part in the first race. But one of the things, in 1960, we had 5 starters. We had 5 finishers. If one of us had been lost at sea in the first race, I think it would have been, had postponed it for 20 years.
It was the original single-handed race across an ocean, and from this race has spawned all the other races that one now hears about, like the Vendée and so on. So this is the grandfather of all these great ocean races, and it's a fantastic classic race.
I can sail my boat. I've sailed it offshore before.
I think there's a bit of a worry about failure.
Yeah.
That's part
You don't want to be knocked out in the first 4 days. It's a bit of pressure.
You don't want to. Yeah. There's a bit of pressure on you because you don't want to fail with all the preparation you put in.
Well, I know my mother certainly is all a bit like, oh my god, you haven't got 25 apples, you've only got 24, and it's just like, do you know, I don't care how many apples I've got really, and it's just kind of being aware what we're going through mentally in the sort of preparation process, and just making sure that they don't add to the pressure, you know, they try and take some of the strain off it really. So.
And the thing about the 18, it has been 18 months preparation, but I only got off the boat at 6 o'clock yesterday evening. And said I'm not going to do any more. And I've been flat out for 16, 18 months.
Yeah.
And
isn't it really?
And all of a sudden, you're there. And
I don't think it'll really hit you though until you actually cross the start line. Certainly I'm still in a phase where it could be any other morning, it could be any other race.
I can speak for one competitor here. The amount of work that man has put in into his boat, Will Sayer of El Marlene. I've known Will for many years, and he's literally given up his job. He's packed in his life at home, and all his effort, his money, his time has gone into putting his boat together for this race. So best of luck to Will.
The race has got an enormous camaraderie. Amazing. The friendships that we've made sailing single-handed. You make more friends.
Absolutely.
You more friends when you're sailing single-handed. It's amazing, isn't it?
Do you remember by any chance, there was one of the competitors that once was asked, why do you do it?
Yeah.
And he answered, I do it for the company.
Is that, who the hell was that?
I think it was in the 70s, I think. I thought that was a great comment.
It's a good comment, yeah.
We just had a skipper's briefing where we were updated on the weather and on the starting procedures and on the icebergs which we are likely to encounter.
We're hoping that some of them will melt over the next 2 weeks. Probably not many, because there are boxes with 80 icebergs. These are 1 degree by 1 degree. So within 60 miles by 60 miles, there is 80 icebergs. That's a lot. You don't really want to sail through that. So we're gonna have to go and dip a bit further south. So here it shows that if we stay below 40 degrees north, we can clear the ice over the Grand Banks and then head towards the finish. This will add about 100 miles to the race.
Go west, just sailing until you hit America. Yeah, that's much better than just before the start.
In the OSTAR, you really have to have a passion for sailing, because it's not a particularly pleasant race, given that it's predominantly upwind and particularly wet and cold, and there's a lot of unpleasantness in kind of icebergs and fog, and and then I think you certainly have to be able to cope with loneliness as well, because you're on your own and you're out there for 3 weeks. And I mean, I'm a social person, but I can most definitely sit on my own for 3 weeks and get on with it and have a good time on my own. But I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a loner or anything, so you don't have to be a loner to do the race. But I don't know. I think you certainly have to be a little bit crazy. You have to have a crazy streak to want to do it.
You have to be comfortable with your own company. Not everybody is. I recognise I am, so I have no concerns at all from that point of view.
I'm not the sort of person that likes being on their own. I'm not really looking forward to getting out there and spending a massive amount of time on my own, but I am really looking forward to the challenge, and I'm a person that really loves challenges and pushing myself to the extreme.
I don't know, the longest I've been at sea on my own is 6 days. I've done 600 miles I've done on my own. I sailed the Fastnet course to qualify. I don't know, and I think that's probably why I'm so nervous and apprehensive, let's say. I don't know beyond the 6 day limit, and it'll be interesting to see how I manage.
People sort of say, "Oh, are you gonna be lonely and you're going out for 25 days on your own?" And yet you have bad times and lonely times, but the rest of the time, you get on with yourself very well, and off you go, and it's fantastic. You see some beautiful things, and actually being on your own doesn't hold you back in any way. But maybe there is an element of craziness there.
We will be in touch with family and friends through emails and satellite phones, so we're not really alone. We are just on a boat on our own, but not really alone, which makes a huge difference, I think.
That's what people always ask. Don't you think you're getting crazy? But no, not at all. Only after a few days I sometimes say hello out loud. Hello, hello. It's just because I realize then that I haven't used my voice for a couple of days. But well, if you want to call that crazy, then I'm a little bit crazy.
You know you're in trouble when you talk to yourself and you move. You're talking to yourself there, and then you move round there as if you're where you were talking from, and then you think, my mind's going.
The people I've spoken to about, one of my family members, she said every family has to have someone who's a little crazy.
I think one has to be pretty happy with one's own company. I think one has to be fairly self-reliant and not get affected by knockbacks. So I think I probably am able to tick all those boxes. But I'll let you know in a month if I'm wrong.
È una cosa talmente personale, talmente non condivisibile, perché comunque le nostre famiglie e gli amici, anche i nostri team, sono vicini a noi. Però la navigazione in solitario è un qualcosa veramente di a volte anche difficilmente da raccontare.
I don't mean that metaphorically, I mean it's physically blowing a gale. We've got 1,000 miles to go. We're stepping onto the Grand Banks in the overnight, so I'm expecting some kind of dodgy seas around about then. We're in iceberg territory. There's 7 icebergs within a 30-mile radius of me right now. It's foggy, it's freezing cold, it's wet. This is OSTAR. It's an amazing place. It is an absolutely awe-inspiring place. To look out here at these seas, you won't be able to see them through the window, but to look at these seas is just absolutely amazing. Why are we here?
People take part in this event, they're drawn by the element of risk, aren't they?
Well,
I mean, otherwise we ain't going to do it, are we? Let's face it.
No,
And I think that's part of the, certainly the attraction of the race. You're pushing the envelope a bit, trying to expand the envelope. But I think there have been quite a few fatalities in this race. The last one, I took part in '76, and we had 4 fatalities. Okay, 2 of them were totally unnecessary, and so people taking a chance. One guy, I was the last man to see him, standing on the push bit of the boat, okay, and quite needlessly with one hand on the standing backstage. What was he doing that for? I don't know. He fell off the. Well, not then.
It's ridiculous to sail at such high speed through thick fog, through a minefield full of ice and fishing boats.
And what you really have to do is identify the risks and then develop strategies to deal with them. Like one risk is falling overboard. Well, wear your harness, clip on.
This is a life jacket. It's a deck vest. These are pretty comfortable to wear, and the idea of having a comfortable life jacket is that you actually do wear it. And I have it on me personal EPIRB. This would allow me to call for rescue if I were to fall in the water. Yeah. And here I have a knife, and here I have a flare, a red flare for night and an orange flare for night, for day. I do not wish to use any of this. It just has to stay there and looks pretty.
Look at the worst thing that can happen, and then avoid it.
Uno che cade in mare, l'acqua a 2 gradi, se non ripeschi entro 3 minuti, 4 minuti, va in ipotermia e quindi non c'è niente da fare. No, i rischi grossi sono quelli leggermente minori alla perdita totale dello skipper.
Well, I think the single most important danger of single-handed sailing is getting tired. As long as you're bright and fit and in a good mental state, not many accidents will happen. But once you get tired after a few days of, well, feeling more or less seasick and having not enough to drink and not enough to eat and no sleep or hardly any sleep, that's the most dangerous time. Then you get tired and you start doing stupid things.
For this race, for the first time, we're protected electronically with a couple of new gadgets that weren't available 4 years ago. It's a SEMI radar target enhancer, which makes us a bigger image on a ship's radar screen, whereas before a yacht's radar image would be almost imperceptible on a big ship screen. So now we stand out pretty well. And the other thing we have is AIS, which is an automatic identification system, so we can see approaching ships transmitting their ID on a VHF frequency on a little screen, so we know where they are, how fast they're going, where they're coming from, where they're going to, and we can give them a name. Whereas before in the old days you'd call hello ship, you can now call hello Beijing line on course 365, steering 18 knots, that sort of stuff. And that wakes them up a bit more.
My computer here indicates that we'll pass to about 2 miles, which is plenty of space, absolutely nothing to worry about. I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of my presence, as maneuverability for me in this weather is very, very difficult.
Yes, I understand. I see on my radar and IES, and unfortunately I cannot see visually. So if you will change your course, please let me know on channel 16, and for safety I go a little bit more to my port, okay?
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Have a safe trip. I assume you're going over to Europe. Over.
Yeah, have a good sailing and safe sailing. Go back on channel 16 and I go a little bit more to my port. Bye.
But fishing boats in the fog is a different issue. If a fishing boat steers a random course, has a fairly cantankerous attitude to rich boys in yachts, and will have a go if they get a chance. So you're really playing dodgems with those guys. And in the fog, with radar, you can feel fairly safe, but you're never really safe. You can be passing a mile clear and the guy will do a sharp right turn and aim straight for you, and there's not a lot you can do about that. You just have to be ready and quick to respond.
I had another trawler before, but I did not see this one. Well, it gave me a bit of a fright because I actually was below and just heard the engine. Jumped out,
this thing is past 50 meters away from me. Giving me some waves.
If something goes wrong, it's harder to get things fixed. You don't have support morally or physically by a crew member, so that makes it more risky. But against that, opposite of that is, I can say that you are so focused, and so your whole body and your whole system is focused on the fact that you are alone on this boat. So you're much more aware of what's happening.
I'm not sure if you can see that in the background or not, but that's Eddystone Rock. We're on our way.
I was looking on the internet for something to do. I was really looking for a race from Plymouth to Iceland, which are Royal Western, and I came across the OSTAR, and I'd always thought of doing it, and it then became a feasibility study, and by the time I logged off the computer I decided I was going to do it, and now tomorrow I have to do it.
The three of us who were involved in the 2000 edition of the race, and we decided one beery night together that we would all do this race, and we called the project The Last Hurrah.
So it's, you know, it's not to prove something to myself, but well, I wondered if I would bring this race, but now I'm here. I think, you know, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that.
My whole life has been about preparing for this race. You know, for the last 4 years I've always been focused on getting back on the start line. But for me, I only got the money in the boat about 7 weeks before the start.
Posso rispondere, per me personalmente c'è un po' di egoismo nei confronti del mondo che ci circonda, il mondo affettivo, nel nostro, diciamo, entourage più vicino.
Je crois que tout compétiteur
cherche quelque part à prouver quelque chose. I don't know. Yeah, probably to prove to myself that I could do it. La motivazione era alta, cioè dovevo fare questa cosa, finirla e basta, non c'erano storie. Si era arrivata anche a nuoto probabilmente.
Just do it. Yeah, find out the boat didn't break up, find out I can do it, find some sort of something else to do. Just slow down, bit of solitude, is that good or bad? I'll find out.
This actually is the first boat race or yacht race that I have ever entered. And so, as somebody said, if you are going to climb only one mountain in your life, you might as well try and make it Everest. So this is to be my Everest.
I run a pub. I talk to people 11 months of the year. Being nice and polite and everything, and have a month on my own is absolutely fantastic. I have no email on board, I have no computer. I'm not going to talk to anybody.
It's a fantastic challenge, but I find incredible peace and solitude out on the water. But also it's an opportunity to just be focused on one thing, focused on your sport, focused on what you enjoy, and there's nothing else in your life to interrupt it. It's so pure.
When I was 17 years old, I got hold of a book of Mcmahan, who was in the race 1976, actually where he lost his life. I didn't know this. Anyhow, I got his book and it made me interested in offshore multi-hulls.
I think the psychology of doing this race is very complex. One side is the simple side of saying, well, I want to be able to say that I've done it. The other side is perhaps you think I do this race and then maybe later I get into professional sailing. Then there is the human factor. They say if you want to know a man, take him sailing, and if you want to know yourself, do an OSTAR. So that's what I try to do.
It's the 29th of May. This is the 5th day I'm at sea. I'm in a position of 50 degrees north, 12 minutes, and 19 degrees, 28 minutes west. I've made very good progress.
Pressure's rising. 1023. And it's sunny, look. Time to do a little bit of work. Nav station. I just had a text message from my good mate Marco, who was boasting about having a shower on deck. Not quite sure how he managed that. I may do it with my baby wipes.
And the final rinse.
So I had to repair my jib today. That's why it's laid out here. So check out this brand new stitching. So I'm just finishing up my log for the day and having a look at my route for tonight before settling in. I'm going to take a nap now because I had a really busy day. I'm going to take a nap before it gets dark because I prefer to try and sleep as much as I can when it's not dark. Hey, it's day 12. We're on the Grand Banks. Less than 1,000 miles to go, about 910 miles to go. And for the first time in, I think it's about 5 or 6 days, we've got some human contact.
At the moment I have a quite bumpy ride westwards. It's blowing with about 30 knots from northeasterly directions, which is quite good, but a bit too much for my taste. Here we are. This is the long-awaited and dreaded storm. I have made the choice that I will only be able to tell you later whether it worked or not.
can't tell you in these conditions, just being on deck is surviving. The wind actually takes your breath away.
The storm is over. I had a very long and stressful night. I had winds topping over 40 knots, sailing downwind, very difficult to balance the boat. Well, I didn't really, so the autopilot was really struggling to hold the boat on course, but eventually the wind started to abate and we pulled it through. If I look now over the horizon, I can see a white strip across the sea. Rob Craigie wrote a blog and he said not to look at the fog too long because you start seeing things everywhere, and just go below, have a cup of coffee.
Of course, the Grand Banks traditionally is where all the world's cod came from. Not anymore because they've been fished and there's nothing left. But traditionally this was huge fishing grounds. Going back in the OSTARs, the early OSTARs, this place was just riddled with fishing boats. It was an absolute nightmare to sail through.
The Labrador Current is the current that brings the icebergs down to the Gulf Stream along the coast of Canada, and the iceberg originates near Greenland, and it takes them 2 years to come on this journey to melt in these waters. Here the air is moist, the water is cold, and there is fog 80% of the days of the year. I'm sailing in total fog, visibility 100 meters. At least I'm not going so fast, and hopefully this boat should withstand a collision with the wave. I'm not a racing machine going at 25 knots. It's been a good day. Now it's going to be the tough part because the wind has headed me, so I have to try to sail as high as possible. The captain of the cargo vessel, which is just there, and this is 0.6 of a mile, I think, has even had the guts to call me up and say, see, there was plenty of space. Imagine if I had to alter course for every bloody vessel that sails within 20 miles of me. And I said, no, Captain, I have altered course to avoid you because you wouldn't do it. And he said, oh, yeah, but you know, you are a sailing vessel and so on and so on. This guy does not understand the rules of the road. I have the right of way, he doesn't. Obviously, I have avoided him because he's a lot bigger than me. And when I explained to him that this is my 17th day from the UK and then I'm sailing single-handed, he didn't seem to be any more sorry for me than before.
So this is what someone looks like after they've been at sea for, what is it, 20 days or something now? 18, 19 days?
It's the second last day. Actually, I hope it's the second last day. If the breeze stays like this, we could be here for another week. There is no wind whatsoever. It's quite strange. There's thick fog, no wind. Every now and then you can hear fishing boats and things going past, but you've no idea where they are. You can't tell anything really. It's really strange. It's your senses get all confused because you can't match what you're seeing with what you're hearing, and it's a very, very strange feeling. No breeze, look. Thick fog, going nowhere. It's going to be a long night of this. It's going to be a long, long night. Let's go down below. Bloody sails everywhere. I need to tidy up.
There is about 5 knots of wind. The boat is barely moving. It's very frustrating because this will mean very, very little progress overnight. There's little I can do. I can just wait, but we might have a whole 24 hours of very, very little winds. You see now, for example, this was the wind shift alarm. The autopilot is telling me that the wind has changed, and through the light airs of the past few days, this alarm would just go off constantly, and
I mean, you need it to know that the wind has changed, and so you can decide whether you need to alter course or whether you want to follow this changing wind. But it was driving me absolutely crazy.
So I might need to get the anchor ready to try and avoid getting put somewhere I don't really want to go. Been a good day apart from that. This is OSTAR dream, to overtake on the last day, to take first in class after chasing for 3 or 4 days. You know, this is what I came here for.
I will remember this magnificent surfing during the following 6 or 7 days when we had these strong carrying winds.
There was waves from both directions and they were breaking all over, and it was blowing 50 knots of wind, and I was just sitting here and bracing myself and trying to see the ice. And so I also tried to make some pictures, but it was pitch black, and well, you don't see anything on the pictures, so that's a bit annoying.
Apart from the finish, the single most sort of critical moment for me was on the second night. We were hit by 30-35 knots off island in the Celtic Sea, and I broke a shroud.
I'm not so sure whether I had that much time thinking about the whole endeavor and the whole adventure. I think I'm having more time to think about what crossing the Atlantic meant now that the race is over.
I certainly have a much clearer view in my mind of what is important to me and what I value and what I want from the rest of my life, and I have every intention now of going and seeing that through and yeah, living my life to the full.
L'image la plus forte, c'est la dernière journée, et la dernière journée j'ai eu la chance d'être accueilli dans la baie par des baleines.
E niente, sono uscito fuori e mi guardavo intorno ed era tutto uno sbuffare di soffi, di balene. Ed ero circondato di balene, semplicemente.
It's certainly something I look back on for quite a while. You know, I'll probably say never again, and then maybe in 4 years' time I'll have another go.
An Atlantic crossing is I'd never done it before, and it's very interesting place to be mentally when you suddenly are 1,000 miles from the next piece of land, and when you see the sea state building, it does put you a sense of perspective as to how small you are compared to things and how vulnerable you are. But at the same time you have a sense of mightiness, because you are actually crossing this whole Atlantic on a little boat. All your world is around you within a few meters, and it's a pretty good feeling when you're doing that.
Lì fuori c'è quello che sei tu e ti viene indietro, nel senso, perché ti chiede tutto. Quello che ti chiede lì fuori l'oceano è tutto quello che tu sei, tutto quello che tu sai, tutto quello che tu vuoi. È veramente esattamente fare i conti con te stesso, con quello che sei, non sei, nei confronti del mare, non della vita in generale. Però anche a livello mentale e psicologico secondo me si può rapportare alla vita.
There was a few times when you're sailing along and you're thinking, this place is just so horrible. And then something happens, like a bird just comes and hovers by the side of the boat, and it's the only living thing that you've seen in 2 or 3 days, and this bird just hovers by the side of the boat, and you're looking at it going, what's this bird doing out here? You know? It's an amazingly huge expanse of nothingness, to be honest.
Well, for me personally, it's the best feeling I can get. It's when we say I feel totally in my element. And that's actually why I do this, and totally relaxed, and because you know there is after 2 or 3 days you're just sailing, eating, resting, and you forget about everything at home, so that you know there's room for a lot of other thoughts in your mind, and it makes me totally relaxed. And that's the feeling I look for when I go out sailing at sea.
You've got to understand yourself and be able to spend time with yourself, because there's not a lot else out there.
appeal to the world.
So this is the committee rib. They are escorting me for the last 2.5 miles to the finish, and well, it starts to all come together. I didn't quite realize as soon as they arrive, it starts to dawn on you that you've just crossed the Atlantic. They asked me to wear a bright yellow jacket because it comes better in the pictures. That was quite funny. It's not the kind of thing that you would think straight away coming after 3 weeks of racing.
Nothing without you.
For those who haven't heard the commentary, this is Jerry's final day of OSTAR. He's not going to do it again. He's had enough now. He's pointing at a Weatherly here. Listen to the reception that he's getting. This man is a god.
Jerry, you made it! Well done! Jerry, half a bit! Half a bit! Jerry! I just gotta go to
Fellow competitors, friends, and he walks into the sunset.
Last drink down it, last bus coming, lost in all these people, bruised, battered and bleeding, all out in the open, the key that just won't turn, the lock that we break, that door we kick down, then steady arriving, hold on to nothing, so nothing can hurt you, so nothing can hurt you, so nothing can break you, nothing can harm you, nothing can hurt you.
If I'd have been a young buck, I would have taken all those shortcuts and died in the process. What else can I tell you?
I'm Katie Miller, I'm 22 years old. I'm sailing a boat called Blue Cube.
Christian Chaland, I'm French sailor.
I'm Anne Cazeneuve.
I'm Marco Nannini. I live in London, but I'm Italian.
My name is Jan Kees Lampe. I'm from the Netherlands and I'm sailing La Promesse.
My name's Mervyn Wheatley. The boat's name is Tamarind.
Ciao, io sono Luca Zoccoli e sono italiano.
I'm Rob Cumming. I'm on Ego Trip, which is Trip 40, and I am from Plymouth.
Hi, I'm Andy Petty. I'm sailing Jemima Nicholas, which is an Intrepid 40 yacht.
Roberto Wesserman. I am here for the OSTAR.
Bart Bosman. I'm the owner and also builder and designer of this boat, which is called the Frenchman.
My name's Hannah White. I am from Lymington in Hampshire and I am sailing a boat called Pure Solo.
So hi, my name is Barry Hurley. I'm from Ireland, originally born in Cork on the south of Ireland, now living in Dublin.
Yeah, it's Rob Craigie. I'm based in London. The boat's moored in Southampton.
Jonathan Snodgrass, and I come from Derbyshire in England.
My name is John Fuller. The boat is called Banyard. It's a Swan 36, and I come from the island of Guernsey in the Channel Islands.
Hi, I'm Will Sayer. I'm from the UK and I'm racing my Sigma 33 El Moline single-handedly across the Atlantic.
My name is Paul Brandt. I'm from Woodbridge in Suffolk. The boat is a water-ballasted Jeanneau 1 design and I've owned it since 2004.
My name is Peter Crowther. The boat is called Suomi Kudu and is a Swan 38.
I'm Oscar Mead. It's a J105 built by J-Boats in the USA and it's called King of Shaves after our sponsor.
My name is Huip Swets. That's a really Dutch name. And I live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Sono Gianfranco Tortolani. La mia barca è Città di Salerno, un Open 30. Vengo da Salerno, Italia.
Hi, I'm Jerry Freeman. I'm from Norwich, which is in the east of England, and my boat is a racing yacht called Q2, Quebec 2, and she's a famous OSTAR boat that's been lent to me by my good friend Mary Fogg.
I'm Michael Collins. I live in St Albans. The boat is from Lymington, and it's a Westerly 33.
I'm Pip Hildersley from East Anglia, and the name of my boat is The Shed, and it's a Lightwave 395.
My name is Uwe Oettgering from Berlin, Germany. I sail a 40-foot aluminium sloop built in the Netherlands in the 1980s, especially for the OSTAR.
Jeff Alcorn from Carrickfergus in Northern Ireland. My boat's a Saltram 36, which I built that myself from a hull which was moulded by Scantleberries in Plymouth.
I'm Dick Koopmans from Jaeger. It's a 35-foot cruiser racer, and it's Dutch.
My name is Peter Burke, and I'm from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. And the boat name is Rubicon, and it's an outbound 44.
Jacques Bouchacourt from Antibes, south of France. My boat is an old 50-foot open.
Rainer Gelder, and I was born in Salzburg in Austria. The boat name is, for the race it's called Light for the World.